What happens when a man doesn't just enter a room, but becomes the doorway the whole room passes through? Chosen one. There is a difference between walking into a space and allowing a space to rearrange itself around your presence. Long before your hand touches the frame or your foot crosses the threshold, your preparation has already carved the silhouette of your arrival. You are not the man who waits for doors to open him into recognition. You carry the doorway within. That is why conversations bend toward coherence when you appear, why laughter finds its true pitch, why eyes lift as though the room has just remembered the note it was born to sing. This is not costume. This is not noise. This is the fruit of a long practice, an inner arranging that allows stillness to move through you without stumbling. Your presence does not command silence. It simply gathers it, not from fear, but from recognition. Bodies remember in you a steadier rhythm than the one they were using just to survive the moment. And so your entrance begins long before you are visible. The ritual is simple, but because it is simple, it is sacred. A breath that returns you to rhythm, a sip of water that teaches your voice kindness, a quick inventory of intentions that shape your attention. You do not rehearse lines. You rehearse listening. You do not wear charm as armor. You clothe yourself in clarity. You decide before you walk in that your purpose is to lower the cost of being human wherever your shadow falls. That decision is the true red carpet. It rolls under your steps, and the room walks with you upon it. Posture lifting without knowing why. Your gait is not rushed, not rigid. You walk as one who trusts the ground. And that trust is not made, but earned by a life that keeps its promises to its own soul. The floor hears it. The air shifts. People who have trained themselves to scan for danger begin to scan instead for conversation. This is your first gift. Nervous systems released from bracing for impact. For women, it arrives as relief disguised as interest, the rare sensation of being safe enough to want. That, chosen one, is the electricity they try to name when they call you a rock star. Your eyes arrive before your words. They come not as hunters, but as hosts. They see corners and exits. The tired, the quiet, the laughter trying too hard. You do not look to collect beauty. You notice it to honor it. Your gaze is steady enough to be felt, soft enough to set free. When your eyes meet hers, she does not feel like a prize displayed, but like a chapter whose pages finally read true. And so your presence multiplies rather than drains. People are not emptied by your nearness. They are spared. Even your first words carry more than sound. Good to see you means you will not make them pay for your volatility. How are you? Means they may offer either a passing breeze or a storm, and you will still have time. When asked about yourself, your tone fits the room. So connection is not a jolt, but a handshake. You place your story like bread on the table and let others eat as they need. That is how rooms turn into tables, and tables, when kept, turn into futures. And still, the deeper secret of your presence is humility, the architecture that holds everything together. You became magnetic not by auditioning for approval, but by stewarding light instead of chasing spotlights. You metabolized praise as information rather than identity. You learned to refuse applause when it cost clarity. You discovered that strength is most trustworthy when it is sized for service. This is why women's bodies read you as safe before their minds find language. This is why even your absence hums in the air like a pattern that keeps arriving after you've gone. You refuse to let your eyes write checks your integrity cannot cash. This refusal turns your yes into shelter. When your attention rests on someone, it does not negotiate, it blesses. Bodies long trained to brace finally release into their full weight. And the relief that follows sounds like unguarded laughter, like stories shedding their armor, like dreams speaking without shrinking. You turn away hollow flattery. You allow praise to enter, but transform it into nourishment for others. Applause is enjoyed but not clung to. It is converted into access for those unseen. Compliments never make you noisy where you should be listening, and criticism never makes you shrink where you should be learning. This rare discipline in handling opinions is a refusal the world does not understand, but it gives women something invaluable: permission to be sincere without performing. With you, truth does not need to wear makeup. Your boundaries set sincerity as the dress code. You say no to secrecy that hides decay, and yes to mystery that protects the sacred. If a story is not yours, you do not sell it for attention. If a moment is holy, you do not reduce it into branding. If intimacy is just beginning, you reveal only at the speed trust can carry. These refusals trade convenience for covenant, and they build a reputation that requires no defense because it is made of the same material in private and in public. Women who encounter you do not feel distance. They feel dignity. You say no to gossip and triangles. The world bonds quickly by pointing at those not in the room, but you refuse. You bless the absent as rigorously as the present. And if blessing cannot be honest, you choose silence. In that silence, the room regains its integrity. Your refusal changes the atmosphere. Soon, people begin speaking truth without costumes because theater has become unprofitable. Those most grateful are the ones who never realized how much gossip had been draining their sense of safety. They like you because they do not have to recover from your presence. You say no when appetite dresses itself as calling. Hunger demands speed and secrecy. You give it patience and light. You refuse the shortcut that would steal tomorrow's trust. You refuse the late-night bargain that would sacrifice another's dignity for your desire. These refusals are not harsh, but generous. They protect the tenderness of the future from the heat of the present. In that protection, passion matures instead of burning out. She feels it instantly. Her longing can be honest without being hurried. Her yes can be whole because your no remained holy. You say no on behalf of Sabbath. The empire will always hand you one more burden, one more fire to put out, one more endless demand. But you refuse to be endlessly available, not because you are precious, but because you are responsible. Rest is how your strength remains real and not theater. Rest is how your kindness carries real energy. Rest keeps your no warm and your yes believable. The chosen ones remind each other here that exhaustion is not devotion, and that the world is not saved by men who cannot stop. You say no to exits that burn bridges. When a season ends, you resist the cheap thrill of the parting shot. You send gratitude while it can still be heard. You would rather let people be wrong about you than let yourself be wrong about love. That refusal is a seed planted in silence. It grows slowly, but years later it becomes a path reconciliation can walk if it ever wants to. Women who have seen too many doors slammed with drama know the worth of this quiet discipline. It is not indecision. It is inheritance. You say no to rooms that ask you to shrink. You do not enter spaces where silence is the price of belonging. You do not audition your integrity for a laugh. You do not dim your light to make someone else comfortable in their avoidance. This refusal is not defiance. It is loyalty to the gift you carry. It tells the world and the woman before you that your light is not for conquest, but for clarity. When she sees that you will not betray your own light, she trusts you will not betray hers. The wanting that follows is not frenzy. It is peace, choosing its home. Keep this energy, chosen one. Let your no remain a sanctuary with open doors and windows, not a bunker with alarms. Let it keep teaching your yes how to stay sacred. Let it keep creating space where truth can breathe and beauty can stand without armor. Refusal, rightly practiced, is not the absence of love, but the architecture that lets love survive its own brightness. Applause will come and go. Rooms will change. But the women who meet you will remember how their bodies felt in the presence of your boundaries. Unbraced, unbargained, unmistakably safe. That is the rare fame worth having, not measured by noise, but by nervous systems at peace. You have learned the strange arithmetic of presence. The less you announce, the more the room can hear. There was a time when you mistook volume for value and charisma for oxygen, but your soul outgrew that diet. You learned the old musician's secret. The rest write the melody as surely as the notes. Now you walk into rooms without a drum roll, and still the atmosphere bends toward coherence. You speak one sentence, and the noise organizes. The microphone is always there, but you rarely need it, because your silence has learned to speak in a way no sound can counterfeit. Your restraint is not emptiness, it is edited fullness. You cut away vanity monologues, clever detours that once begged for belonging, citations assembled as defense. In their place, you cultivated a voice that carries weight because it carries no ego. Your words arrive not as verdicts, but as blessings, not as performance, but as presence. They pass through a sieve, truth before temperature, mercy before metaphor, usefulness before applause. Her body hears this before her mind does. It recognizes the tone of a man who does not spend another's safety to purchase his own sound. You are not afraid of specificity in your refusals. You answer the late night message in the morning. You let adrenaline cool before deciding. You do not trade clarity for urgency. You ask yourself 3 questions. Is it mine to say? Is it time to say? Can love carry it? If all 3 are not yes, you wait. Waiting is not passivity. Waiting is stewardship. It is how you prevent your power from becoming noise. You refuse to confuse visibility with value, or proximity with intimacy. You can be near without being possessed. You can be seen without being spent. You know attention can burn as easily as it can warm, so you hold it gently. You do not harvest secrets from soft moments to feed hungry platforms. You let moments stay moments. You practice repair without theater. You apologize not for optics, but for mending. You do not collect credit for decency. You let your consistency carry your name. Your refusals extend even into economy. If money requires you to mortgage conscience, you decline. If opportunity asks you to subtract someone's safety, you return it unopened. You choose the slower path that keeps the future soft. You would rather be trusted than celebrated. You would rather be consistent than viral. You would rather be real than immediate. You refuse to train people to expect you only in crisis. You arrive with rhythm, not just rescue. Love for you has a calendar, not just alarms. You check in before storms. You give bread before famine. You keep your promises until your promises keep you. Reliability becomes your quiet charisma. You refuse to cloak your no in thorns. Your no has a porch light. It closes without drama. It keeps relationship as trust, not transaction. You refuse the theater of urgency. Not every ping is fire. Not every doubt is disaster. You let thoughts pass like weather. You know what belongs to you, and you bless the rest as not yours. You refuse to punish curiosity. You answer questions with patience or with silence, never with contempt. This keeps intimacy intelligent and tenderness brave. You refuse to baptize chaos as calling. You refuse to call depletion devotion. You refuse to mistake loneliness for destiny. You let emptiness speak its need, not pronounce failure. You let your body tell the truth to your plans. Your calendar confess what your lips won't. You repair small cracks early so you never lose the whole bridge. These refusals make you lighter, not harsher. They soften your humor, steady your eyes, and clean your touch. They turn your presence into a place where people can unclench, where breathing returns, where joy comes without announcement. This is why women relax around you, not because you are perfect, but because you are practiced. Practiced at trading convenience for covenant. Practiced at letting mystery protect what is sacred. Practiced at letting silence do part of the talking. Practiced at letting refusal build the house where yes can live. You did not shrink to make this space. You became more whole. You discovered that your attention is currency. Your no is a doorway. Your yes a hearth. You learned honor works faster than strategy. Tenderness travels farther than charisma. Follow through is sexier than swagger. You keep your promises to yourself in front of others. And that is what the body trusts first. This is the only fame worth carrying. Not noise, but peace. Not spectacle, but safety. Not recognition, but remembrance of how it felt to be unbraced and free in your presence. This is legacy written not in echoes, but in nervous systems that finally rest.